I'm Elizabeth, a literary princess. If you are new here, welcome. I am a 6-year PhD candidate in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists. And as you might expect, I love to read. Happy Victober, everyone. It really is the most wonderful time of the year. This is going to be the first of many Victober videos throughout the month of October. I'm honestly hoping that the only one that won't be Victober themed will be my September wrap up. So today, to kick us off, I have another installment of my underrated Victorian recommendations videos. In this series, I take 3 pieces of Victorian literature that I feel are underrated, and I tell you about them. So these are sometimes by authors who are lesser known, but sometimes they are by authors who are more well known, but it's a work of theirs that does not get talked about very much, and we have one of those today, in fact. So I have not done one of these in a year. The last time I did one was last October, and that is because I am running out of books. You know, I can only read so fast, and I've done, I think this is number 8 of these. So, you know, that's a lot of books. But I do have 3 great ones here for you. So let's jump in. First off, we have to start with a spooky one because it is October, and I think both of the videos I've done for the last 2 years for Victober have had a spooky book, so we're keeping that tradition going. I just finished this in September. This is The Uninhabited House by Charlotte Riddle. I have recommended 2 of Riddle's books before, A Struggle for Fame and her short story collection, Weird Stories. Like Weird Stories, this is one of her supernatural books. This is a novella, and it is focused on this house that the lawyers of the owner just cannot keep it rented out to somebody. They are always leaving and trying to get out of paying the rent, and there's really no explanation other than everyone's claiming it's haunted, which of course the lawyers think that's ridiculous. This is told from the perspective of, oh my gosh, and his name doesn't appear until like chapter 5, and I don't remember his name now. Well, this is told from the perspective of one of the lawyer's clerks, who does have a name, but I cannot for the life of me find it because it is not mentioned very much. He, when the owner of the house says, I'll pay £50 to whoever can figure out what's going on here and why it can't stay rented out, he decides, okay, I'll take that. And he goes to stay in the uninhabited house that is supposedly haunted in an attempt to solve the mystery. That's all I'm gonna tell you because anything else would spoil it. This is so much fun. This is my favorite of Riddle's works that I've read so far. I had such a great time. There was suspense and tension and some spooky parts. It was the perfect read for Halloween season, even though I read it in September. Highly, highly recommend this. It was great. Absolutely fantastic. And this Broadview edition is really nice and offers a lot of stuff in the back to give context about Riddle and about supernatural stories in the Victorian period. Next up, we have our one by a very well-known author, but this book gets absolutely no love, and I think that's criminal. This is Felix, Holt the Radical by George Eliot. I read this earlier this year for my George Eliot project and was so incredibly surprised at how much I enjoyed it, because George Eliot and I have a complicated relationship, and this is called like her political novel, and I was like, but no, this is great. This is the story of 3 characters. First, we have Harold Transome. Harold? Yes. Who is a nobleman who is standing for Parliament to his whole family's chagrin as a radical. We then have Felix Holt, a working class man who actually believes in a lot of radical politics, wanting to educate the working class, And he's not really sure about Harold Transome, who seems to just be running as a radical for the heck of it and not really believing in a lot of the ideals that Felix believes in. And then we have Esther Leon, the daughter of a dissenting clergyman who dreams of being above her station in life. It is a love triangle between these three, and I'm not going to tell you any more than that. This was so impressively well-paced and well-plotted that I was like, Elliot wrote this? Because, let's be honest, that's not her strong suit. But I was very impressed with how she wrote this one. And I really enjoyed the character of Esther Leon, who, she has her issues, but I found her a very lovable character, and I liked her a lot. So I would highly recommend checking this one out if you've read other Eliot books and enjoyed them, or if you have read other works of Victorian literature that dealt with politics, because this does obviously deal with politics, although I would argue it is not the biggest point in the book. Really, it's more about the characters and their relationships. I think that this deserves so much more love than it gets, and I hope that at least one of you will pick it up because I've recommended it. And finally, I wanted to recommend a short story that counts for one of the Victober prompts. This is for Kate's prompt to read a work of Victorian literature that has a religious component, which a lot do. Felix Holt would count for that since Esther's father is a dissenting minister. But I think this is a great choice for that prompt because A, it's short, and B, the main character is a clergyman who is having a bit of a crisis of, not quite faith, but of his career choice. This is the Rector. It follows Mr. Proctor, who is the new rector of the Carlingford parish. He's middle-aged and has been having a very satisfying life as a fellow of All Souls College in Oxford. But now he is out and has a congregation, and he isn't quite handling it as well as he thought he would. Along the way of his journey, he meets several characters who are going to be important in the rest of the Carlingford books, including Frank Wentworth, the perpetual curate of St. Roke's, and the Mrs. Woadhouses, Lucy and Mary. And it's very short. I'm not going to say any more because it is very short and would give it away. But I think this is highly worth reading. I enjoyed it very much, and it's a good introduction to the series, even though it is not the first work in the series. That would be The Executor, but you can read The Rector without having read The Executor. But this is just a lovely little story. Did I say it's by Margaret Oliphant? I don't think I said it's by Margaret Oliphant. It's by Margaret Oliphant, who is my favorite. I love her, and she's once again done a wonderful job. So if you're looking for a little short way to get in one of those Victober prompts, this would be perfect for you. So those are my 3 underrated Victorian recommendations for the day. Let me know down in the comments below, have you read any of them? What did you think? What underread Victorian books have you been looking at lately? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon for another Victober video. Bye.